NBC poll that we're going to get into a little more later in the show that suggests that voters trust Republicans more than Democrats to defend democracy. This is the party that gave birth to Donald Trump. This is the party of the insurrection. This is the party of, there are hundreds of more than 100 members of the House of Representatives who voted to decertify Joe Biden's win. You're seeing the poll numbers here. 37% to 36% Republicans. They've picked up 4 points in the last year, while Democrats have dropped 4. Claire McCaskill, how do we explain that? But also, there have been some Republicans who at times have stood up to Trump about certain issues, Mitch McConnell being one of them. But silence here on this, where he's calling, to Eddie's point, something could happen to Chairman Milley when he leaves his post in a few days.
Well, first of all, can I just say all this polling is giving me a headache?
Sure.
It is... At this point in time, Barack Obama in 2011 had almost the exact same approval rating as Joe Biden. Okay? Almost exactly same approval rating. And Obama did just fine in 12. And I think without seeing the crosstabs on that question for independence, it looks like to me that people who are saying that the Republicans will protect democracy are the hardened votes for Donald Trump. And those people that are saying the Democrats will protect democracy are those people who have totally said we under no circumstances will ever go near Donald Trump. So unless you look at the independent swing voters, which are going to decide this election in the tipping point states, I'm not sure that it gives me huge concern. What does give me concern is that I haven't heard enough Republicans that have raised their hand. They all do this. When you get sworn in, Joe will remember it vividly, you take an oath on the Bible to uphold the Constitution. And the idea that we haven't heard from the MAGA crazies about the idea that we would execute the chairman of the joint...
Some of them are echoing what Trump said.
Yeah, I mean, that is what is really frightening about this. The poll, I'm trying to ignore most of them at this point, because there's some outliers that are hitting and that are really like nuts. But, where is the chairman of the Armed Services Committee in the the ranking member of the Armed Services Committee in the United States Senate? Where is he? Where is Joni Ernst, who served in the military? Where are the Republicans that say they care about the military? The idea that he would get away with saying this without being totally lambasted by every Republican elected official is stunning to me. This is one of the worst things he's ever said, and imagine how high that bar is.
Well, let's talk about a couple things here, Claire. One, let's talk about polls. And I brought this up before a couple days ago, but let's remember, at this point in 1979, Ted Kennedy was ahead of Jimmy Carter by a 2-to-1 margin to win the Democratic primary. There wasn't a person in mainstream media who was not sure that Ted Kennedy was going to be the nominee the following year. The Democratic nominee, of course, he wasn't. Jimmy Carter said, if he runs, I'll whip his ass. Jimmy Carter did. That's one. Two, when you're asking where these Republican senators are on the horrible things that are being said about General Milley, well, you could ask the same question about where were they when Donald Trump attacked Mitch McConnell back in the fall of last year, because Mitch McConnell supported bipartisan legislation. And Trump, Truth Social then, that he did it because he hates me so much. And then he put in all caps, he has a death wish. All caps. That's not a dog whistle. That is an invitation. Just like come on January the 6th, it's going to be wild. When he says things like Mitch McConnell has and then in all caps, a death wish. That is an invitation for his people to step up and assassinate Mitch McConnell, or General Milley. And you could ask a question of, okay, where are these Republicans? Why aren't they critical of Donald Trump for saying that about General Milley? I'd ask the same thing about Mitch McConnell. There should have been a press conference with every Republican senator saying they're putting our leader's life and his family's life in jeopardy. But silence. Always silence.
It's so depressing. And we've said many times before, I honestly believe, people think that I beat Todd Akin because of what he said. I beat Todd Akin because all the Republicans together said, we don't want this guy in the Senate. And it had an impact, a huge impact in a state that most people thought, no way I could win again in 12. And that's because all of the Republicans, the leaders of the Republican Party, all came together and condemned what Akin had said. And if they would all just do that, it would solve the problem they all mutter about. When are we going to get rid of this guy?
Right.
They all mutter it. They're just afraid to say it out loud.